Hello and welcome to this new series on PMP preparation. In this series, we will focus our attention on developing project schedules. There are 5 processes in developing project schedule. This slide will give you an overview of all the 24 processes of planning. You'll see the knowledge areas around scope, time, cost, etc. And the central piece is to integrate all the processes to build the integrated project management plan. So in this current series, we are going to discuss on how we use these 5 processes to build a project schedule. These are the 5 processes, and the primary output from each process is shown on the right side. Plan schedule management develops the schedule management plan, then define activities, creates the activity lists, milestones, and the various attributes for each activity are planned. The sequence activities establishes the precedence and successor relationships to build the schedule network diagram. As part of duration estimation, we estimate activity duration or work periods, and then finally, all these attributes are put together to build an integrated project schedule. In this current episode, we'll discuss on how to plan schedule management. As you are already aware, each of these plan, the first process in every knowledge area, establishes the policies, procedures, and documentation to perform the rest of the activities within that knowledge area. In the same manner, as part of this process, we establish the policies, procedures, and documentation to plan, develop, maintain, and control the project schedule. Now, how do we do that? So we'll take a small example. So when you begin a project, you need to first establish what kind of scheduling method you are going to follow. If the project is an event-oriented project, like let's say an Independence Day, so then the end date is fixed. You have no way to change it. So then the schedule should come from the end date. We call it as a reverse scheduling. Any other project in a business environment will follow the forward scheduling. So that means you set a start date and then schedule towards the projected end date. Probably the next step is to decide what kind of tooling that we are going to follow. You should be aware that the whole scheduling is a simulation, dynamic simulation. So it is a good practice to pick up a decent tool to build that model. And then you bring the data in terms of WBS dictionary into the this particular process as a primary input. You can take up a template, the standard template prescribed by the organization that will be available in the organizational process assets, and then build the schedule model. How we build the schedule model step by step, we will see later from define activities process. And then as part of the process, you should create different model instances and to perform what if analysis. So these steps, how one should go about developing the schedule, should be written in the form of an instruction or standard operating procedure. So that is what we should prescribe as part of the schedule management plan. So typically it answers the question how we are going to develop the schedule, maintain the schedule, baseline and get the schedule approved, and communicate the plan and the performance to different stakeholders. As part of maintaining the schedule, few more guidelines to be prescribed. For example, what frequency we are going to update the schedule? Is it going to be weekly or fortnightly? And then what is the allowable threshold? So that means to what extent a schedule deviation is permissible. So that is defined by the control threshold. Maybe you can put it as a +5 minus 10%. So that means up to 10%, I may not take any specific action. The system will recover by itself in the subsequent period. If it goes beyond 10%, it needs to be notified to the key stakeholders and an action to be initiated. And then tomorrow the schedule needs to be changed. Let's say a specific activity got delayed beyond what you have scheduled. Then in order to recover the schedule, you may have to adjust the remaining period in terms of adding more resources or in terms of modifying the dependencies to bring the activities in parallel. Now such changes, how that needs to be routed. And then schedule need to be maintained in terms of creating backup and providing appropriate access to the stakeholders. How are we going to do it? And then who is authorized to maintain, approve, change baselines? Is it PMO or sponsor or the project manager? These questions are to be answered. And finally, every schedule should have an amount of contingency for any unforeseen risks that might happen. So in order to cover such unforeseen changes, where to keep the buffer? Generally, we talk about two kinds of buffers: contingency buffer and management reserve. Now, this contingency reserve should be allocated at the activity or work package level, or they should be placed at the end of the project or the end of the critical path. So these are all the questions to be answered, and that will form guideline for the team to develop and maintain the schedule rest of the period. For now, we'll stop here. With these guidelines, we'll continue and start building a schedule from the next episode onwards. Thank you so much for watching. For more information about our programs and other information, please feel free to write to us in this email or visit our website for more information. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a good day.